This video is for educational purposes only. It is not personalized financial advisor before making financial decisions.
Let's examine the baseline subject. He is a 21-year-old entry-level software engineer who just signed an offer for a $90,000 gross starting salary. To a new graduate, that number feels like infinite liquidity. It's more money than he's ever managed, creating a dangerous illusion of immediate purchasing power. This waterfall diagram breaks down what actually hits his bank account. Starting at that $90,000 block, we have to strip away federal income tax, Social Security, Medicare, and state taxes. Based on 2026 tax data, his actual in-hand pay lands at exactly $5,800 a month. He enters the workforce with two specific emotional goals. He wants to buy his mother a $45,000 car, and he intends to send his parents $3,000 a month as a thank you. Because he is 21 with a thin credit file, financing that car means taking on an interest rate around 9%. That pushes his monthly auto payment to roughly $1,000, even before insurance. Look at this capacity bar representing his strict $5,800 monthly limit. When we pour in the $3,000 parental contribution, add the $1,000 car payment, and include his basic living expenses, the bar immediately overflows and triggers a system failure. A top percentile starting salary still leads to immediate insolvency when the initial cash flow is driven by emotion rather than math. Personal finance at this stage is a deterministic systems engineering problem. The inputs and outputs are rigid, and they do not care about good intentions. To solve it, we need to architect an automated cash flow routing system that safely funds his short-term goals while quietly building a multi-million-dollar baseline in the background. Long-term financial security depends entirely on the mathematical constraints placed on net income, regardless of the gross starting salary. Standard retail financial advice usually points to the 50-30-20 budget rule. But for a young professional living at home with zero rent overhead, allocating 50% to needs leaves far too much capital sitting idle. We can discard that rule entirely and build a highly efficient 30-30-40 allocation matrix instead. This master Sankey diagram illustrates the new routing. The central node of $5,800 branches into three distinct pipelines: a 30% branch at $1,740, a second 30% branch at $1,740, and a final 40% branch taking the remaining $2,320. This structure forces his excess capital directly into its highest yield destinations, while still keeping defined channels open for his short-term quality of life desires. Establishing this rigid mathematical architecture in month 1 removes emotional decision-making from the process entirely, maximizing his 25-year compounding window. We start with the first 30% pipeline. This $1,740 is strictly designated for basic personal needs and family support. The initial instinct to send his parents $3,000 a month right out of school is mathematically incompatible with his net income. Allocating over 50% of his net pay to a single, unleveraged goal permanently starves his emergency liquidity and shuts down his long-term investments before they can begin compounding. Looking at the top branch of our diagram, we recalculate that parental contribution to a sustainable $1,300 per month. That leaves a dedicated $440, which comfortably covers low overhead personal expenses like streaming subscriptions, gas, and socializing. True generosity requires a sustainable budget. Overcommitting early inevitably leads to cash flow collapse and the quiet embarrassment of having to withdraw that financial support later. Next is the second 30% pipeline. This $1,740 monthly allocation is engineered entirely for short-term goals. Financing a brand new $45,000 depreciating asset at a 9% interest rate acts as a severe drag on early wealth creation. This line graph maps the natural depreciation curve of a brand new sedan. Over its first 2 to 3 years, the vehicle suffers a steep 35 to 45% drop in value, settling into a target range between $25,000 and $29,000. We bypass the 5-year loan entirely with a pure cash accumulation strategy. On the right, stacking $1,740 monthly into a dedicated account creates an 18-month sprint. These monthly blocks stack upward to exactly $31,300, intersecting the lower depreciation curve. That accumulated cash entirely covers the cost of a 2 to 3-year-old certified pre-owned vehicle, allowing him to hand over the keys without ever entering the loan apparatus. Delaying a luxury purchase by just 18 months to capture this depreciation arbitrage neutralizes the primary wealth-destroying trap waiting for young professionals. The final 40% pipeline is the wealth engine. This $2,320 monthly allocation is designated strictly for long-term generation. The operational rule here is precise. Prioritize tax-advantaged retirement accounts to their legal limits before directing any overflow to a taxable account. Tracking the branch, a $700 node secures the 401k match under the $24,500 limit. A $625 node maxes the Roth IRA, clearing the $153,000 limit for the $7,500 cap, splitting into S&P, mid-cap, and small-cap funds. The remaining $995 pools into a taxable account. This exact routing sequence mathematically shields the maximum allowable capital from tax drag, while automating aggressive long-term market growth. With cash flow automated, we have to correct his initial underestimation of static liquidity. Continuous investment requires a static buffer to protect it from sudden financial shocks. The correct emergency target is 6 months of his strictly committed needs bucket. At $1,740 a month, that totals exactly $10,400. This dashboard displays how that static liquidity is split to balance yield with instant access. When we factor in a standard career growth variable of 3 to 5% annual raises applied to the contribution rate, this second, steeper curve pushes the final portfolio definitively into a zone between $2.5 and $3.5 million. Building a multi-million-dollar net worth by mid-career is the deterministic outcome of following this sound mathematical architecture. There is only one risk capable of destroying this entire mathematical model, and it is the human flaw of impatience. Social media algorithms and peer groups constantly push high-variance, get-rich-quick crypto and options trading. The psychological pressure to chase these erratic spins is intense. Attempting to compress 25 years of systematic compounding into 25 days of trading introduces fatal variance that will shatter the entire cash flow architecture. Financial freedom for a new professional relies on establishing a reliable system, avoiding high-interest consumer debt, and allowing time for compounding.